let her have a child die, like right in front of her.
Yeah.
I can't do that. And they said, okay,
go.
yeah, you can go back. And boom, I was like, boom, like right back into my body. And my mom is bawling, and I'm like, she's like, you had no heartbeat. You were literally dead.
Yeah.
And again, timeline, I don't know how long that was, like I said, getting the rags, getting them wet, bringing them back in.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It was probably only
a
30
minute,
seconds.
A minute, 30 seconds to 1.5 minutes. Who knows, right? And enough time that probably could have caused some major damage.
Yeah.
And maybe it was. Maybe I was an ultra genius beforehand. Maybe I was as smart as my brother, and now I'm not. So, but that experience with death gave me an interesting perspective on life and how you want to live your life.
Yeah.
Now, of course, I was still, like I've mentioned, I was young, so I was still into all those addictions. And I didn't quite know what it meant. It was almost like this experience happened so I could continually to reflect on it.
I thought you didn't know what addiction meant, and you probably didn't.
No, I didn't. I had, there wasn't much of that. I had no clue, like, how to deal with anything other than feed my addictions because I feel this way.
Yep. Drink alcohol.
Yeah. Like, well, I'm just going to do this because I need it. I want it. I feel it. I'm going to take it. I'm going to have it. And, but in terms of life and how I wanted to live, I wanted that feeling all the time. I wanted to have excitement and joy and just, I wanted to feel. I really wanted to feel. And I've reflected on that experience multiple times. And I think it meant more in my 20s when I was kind of going through all my crap.
Yeah.
More than it did when it happened.
Yeah.
Right? So fast forward to when I was in my 20s, I was actually 29. 29 years old. And I would have been almost 30. No, I was 29. Yeah. So fast forward to that time, my sister has cancer, and she has stomach cancer, and it's really.
How many years ago was that?
That was 10 years ago.
10 years ago. Yeah.
And it was hard for a lot of our family.
Yeah.
Right.
I could imagine like, I could imagine it being super hard, like I can't imagine losing a sister or a brother or even a mom or a dad.
I know.
And that takes strength.
It does take strength
in of itself.
It really does. And the thing is we all have to face it sometime.
Yeah. It's inevitable.
Our own mortality, and we're going to have to face it with the people that we love.
Yeah.
And that's why the way that we live is so important. Every single day, the way that we live is so important because we know that it might be the last.
Yeah.
And then it might be...
Definitely.
It might be somebody else's last. So I had this thing where I was like, I couldn't go to sleep if I had an argument with somebody until I've worked it out.
Yeah.
I had to like...
Yeah, I can kind of understand those feelings. Like, I think that's like a empathy feeling.
Sure.
And I struggle with having too much empathy sometimes.
I think you do, and it can end up overwhelming you.
And I've been really good about not letting it affect me. Like since I had that conversation with you, I told you that I thought I was an empath.
Yeah.
And since we talked about that, I felt like I can kind of deal with it a little bit better because I know that those feelings aren't mine.
Yeah, right.
And there's someone else's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's okay if they pass through.
Yes.
Right? It's okay if they pass through. And you can be there as a source of so that someone can relate. someone, even just a soundboard, somebody that they can talk to.
Yeah.
And then just asking certain questions and helping them work through their things. But the stuff that they lay on you, you don't have to keep.
Yeah.
It's not yours to keep.
That was really hard for me to figure that out,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know. We can get
and
real.
I'm
There were
still working on it.
There were a couple of the podcasts that we, I won't say which ones, but some of them were pretty heavy.
Yeah.
And Shane would be like, dude, I'm still shooken up by that. Like, it's been a week and I'm still like.
The next week when we went to film. Or like record.
Yeah. Like, dude, I'm still thinking about that last one, and it's hard. So a practice that I've done for myself and that I've helped other people do as well. My daughter is definitely an empath. I mean, I wrote a song for my dad once, and I could hardly even sing it. I started bawling. I started crying. Yeah. Next thing I know, she's sitting right next to me, crying right next to me. Because it pulls her in, and then she feels it.
Yep.
And then I have other daughters that they don't feel that as much.
Well,
right? And that's
they're the lucky ones.
I know, right?
Yeah.
So, one thing that you can do is you stop, recognize
that it's not yours, feelings,
right? Yeah. Take several deep breaths and tell yourself to release. Release. And you can release those emotions, those feelings, right? And then you can you take several deep breaths to do that. It will help. It seriously will help.
That's the point of self-talk,
Yeah.
Like that's what I was doing the other day when I was on the walk. I was speaking to myself and I was just talking to myself, but I was saying like positive affirmations and stuff like that. And it was so beneficial to me.
Totally. So that's something that you can do as an empath, or anybody who hears stories and it's hard for them. Just take several deep breaths, release it, release that mental tension that's there in the mind. And then start saying some positive things to yourself.
Like you said, I could feel it for an entire week.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So, it'd be hard if you were a therapist. It'd be really hard.
Well, I can relate with people, but I just take that on too much.
So my sister, it was hard on the family, and I feel like there was so much more that we could have done. Her emotional state, I know, had a huge role in the rate at which the cancer grew.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's what caused the cancer. It's debatable that the stresses that you have can metastasize cancer and all that kind of stuff. And I believe that they have a huge role in it, because there's usually an emotional link to almost any disease, but especially cancers. And it being stomach cancer, you're think of this. So like if you're angry or resentful at someone or for doing something to you, and you hold on to that, right?
Well, does that kind of play a part in like, what are those pills called? Medicine. For like anti-anxiety ones, for your stomach, gut health.
Oh, okay. Well,
and so do you think that has a role?
There is definitely a role there, because your gut health itself that's where you house 80% of your serotonin is produced in the gut. So there's lots of different neurotransmitters that are produced in the gut, and those influence your mood, right? So let's say this happens. You are holding on to some type of anger, resentment. Somebody did something to you. They wronged you in some way. It could even be as simple as they cut you off while you're driving and you're just angry about it. If you notice that by holding on to that, you may start feeling a gut ache. Like your stomach hurts a little bit. And you're like, wait, why does my gut hurt?
Heartburn.
Literally, it's just because of the emotions that you're having that you're not letting go of. It starts building itself or manifesting itself physically inside your body. And what if that happened year after year after year after year after year?
You could
develop some type of disease.
In the hospital or in the ground.
Yeah. So I believe that there were some stuff that my sister was holding on to.
Yeah.
I mean, you heard my story.
Yeah.
And her being, she was in the middle of boys. Okay. My older sisters had boyfriends. They were out of the house. They moved, like, she was kind of stuck in amongst all the boys with all the chaos and with all that kind of stuff. And I don't feel like she, at the time when she was developing the cancer, I don't feel like she got the quite the emotional work that she needed to work on with my parents.
Yeah.
The healing with my father and with my mom. And they did. It was like a really quick type of thing. My mom knew that she was sick and she was getting sick and like it was getting worse. So they worked on a lot of their stuff.
It sounds like your parents' relationship really changed, like after she passed away.
Sure.
You know,
I'll tell you what. I'll get to that in just a second. So I know that played a role because my sister, she drank, you know, and she was, you know, we were told later she was kind of a closet drinker. She would still drink quite a bit, but I mean, come on, people drink their whole lives, alcohol, and it doesn't give them stomach cancer.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, it's not good for you, and you're more likely to have liver issues than, you know, psoriasis or cirrhosis of the liver or something like that, more than a stomach issue. But that does play a role. But she ate super healthy.
Yeah.
She hardly ate things out of cans, bags, packages. I mean, she would grow her own stuff. I mean, she was super natural.
Yeah.
Like very natural.
She's like a hippie.
Totally like a hippie. And she had just an amazing attitude, beautiful smile. Just, you know, she was such an awesome person to be around. And yet there was something still inside of her that was eating her alive, literally. And it eventually took her. So from that point on, my father, that was probably about the time. So his wife died right around that time. My sister passed away, and then he had 2 siblings pass away, all within probably a couple years.
And that has to play not necessarily a role in his death, but a role in his health, you know?
Yes. Oh, it totally did. And I know for the longest time he buried his emotions with food. Food was a huge addiction. After he kind of overcame a lot of the other things, food was an addiction, all that kind of stuff. But that point, which was about 10 years ago, he passed away. This July will be 2 years. So
it's been that long.
I know, it's crazy, right?
Seems like it was just yesterday.
I know it does actually seem like that. So there was something that he started to do that really changed the relationship in the family. He started being more service oriented, started giving more of his time instead of taking, right? Amongst his whole community down in Moab. People started calling him Paul. Like in the Bible, there was Saul who turned into Paul, and that was like his like transition, like becoming a better person into Paul. So I don't know if that has something to do with it, but he started doing like Bible studies with people. He started doing like just Buddhism.
Yeah.
He started doing
giving
like,
back to people.
Yes.
Yeah.
And really like he redeemed himself in that way. Instead of taking, he was giving. Right?
Well, that's the best thing anyone can do. Like, if you don't know what you're supposed to be doing in life, like the best thing you can
just
do
go and
is
give,
be
go serve
of
somebody.
Service. Yes.
Yeah, go serve somebody. You know, if you're having a bitter day, if you're upset about something, guess what? All that goes away when you serve somebody.
Definitely.
And you can create a habit out of that. Just like anything, you can create a habit out of giving, out of serving. Just put it on your calendar. Just, hey, who can I serve today? Who can I help today?
And that's a great idea. Like, and it's a challenge we should
That's
put
our
out
challenge
there.
for today is, who can I serve today?
Yeah. just think about
in any
it.
capacity. It could literally just be writing a note to someone and sharing your love and appreciation for them.
Mowing someone's lawn or
Totally.
whatever.